Welcome, this is Julie from Totally Holistic Health and welcome to 2023. This is the first class of this year and I thought it'd be really nice to do a lovely grounding type of yoga practice, principally because I think most people have overindulged over Christmas, I know myself included, but equally we tend to be quite a lot more sedentary at this time of year because obviously the weather is cold and the last thing you want to do is go outside, so it's nice to maybe offer a little bit more of a grounding practice just to get things moving a little bit, just to stretch yourself out a little bit. All you need is a yoga mat. If you have got a blanket handy, it's really useful to have a blanket because it just helps put a little bit of padding under areas like knees if you need them, maybe under shoulders. We're going to do something that's going to maybe have a little bit of support, need a bit of support under the shoulders or underneath the head, but also equally it's nice to sit on a blanket as well. So if you have got a blanket handy, maybe get one now. And we're going to just fold it up. If you've got yoga bricks or yoga blocks, you can also use those, but a lot of people don't. So we're going to just pop that underneath there and we're going to sit on that. So we're going to take a couple of moments just to allow ourselves to settle. So the idea of having something underneath your bottom, it just allows your knees to drop down a little bit. You tend to find that if you're sat down on the floor and your hips are quite tight, your knees will be up here. You'll tend to find you curve your spine a little bit. So by tilting the pelvis, it puts it into a little bit more of an upright position, allows the knees to drop down so you can sit upright a little bit easier, which also help with the breath a little bit more. Hands can rest on your lap or on your knees, wherever feels comfortable. Maybe close down the eyes. Just take a couple of moments just to check in to how we're feeling. So I always like to use this time at the start of a practice just to maybe give my body a little bit of a scan. Sometimes we're rushing around doing stuff all the time. We don't actually take time out to check into how we're actually feeling. So maybe focus on your toes. See if you can notice any sensation in your toes. Your feet and your ankles. Maybe noticing your legs, your knees, your hips. Maybe notice if you're sitting uncomfortably, whether this is uncomfortable for you. If that is the case, then you can change positions. You can come into a kneeling position if that suits you. Again, you can pop something underneath your bottom just to raise your bottom up a little bit to protect your knees. Maybe noticing now your lower back and your belly. Maybe noticing how the belly rises and falls with each breath. And maybe noticing the shoulders. Maybe every time you take an out breath, just see if you can drop those shoulders down just a few more millimeters. Noticing your arms and your hands. And then your neck and your head. Maybe just scan your body, noticing any areas that feel a little bit on the tight side. So this is a really nice time to use your breath just to see if you can release any tightness or any tension. And then you can either keep your eyes shut, just be guided by my voice, or you can open your eyes. We're going to drop the chin down towards the chest, but try to keep the shoulders down your back if you can. Just getting a little bit more of a stretch along the spine. So what we're doing really is lengthening all the vertebrae. So we're trying to force the head down. We're just using the weight of the head just to get a little stretch in the back of your neck. And maybe rolling the right ear over to the right shoulder. So you're just tilting the head over to the right so you get a lovely stretch on the left side of the neck. Again, just try to keep the shoulders down. Use the breath just to release those shoulders down and back even more. And just roll the chin all the way down towards your chest again. And then tilt the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Again, noticing how that feels more on the right side, maybe some tension in the left. It's quite a mindful practice, so just really focusing on how that feels in your body. Not trying to force anything, we're just using our breath to release. And just roll the chin all the way down again towards your chest. And very slowly we're going to bring the head back up. So we'll do some side bends first of all. So let's bring your right hand down onto the floor next to you. So we're going to get the left arm, we're going to sweep it overhead. Now if you have issues with your shoulder, you may just want to keep your hand on your hip or your waist and just bend into that right elbow just to get a nice stretch on the left side. If your shoulders do feel okay, it's nice to bring them over just to get a little bit more of a stretch into the ribs. Try to make sure it's a nice side bend, so you're not bringing that shoulder forward, you're really opening up the chest a little bit, maybe even bringing the arm a little bit further behind you. And bring the left arm down, we'll do the same on the right side. So again, if you've got issues with your right shoulder, bring the hand onto your waist or your hip. If your right arm's okay, or shoulder, bring it overhead, really opening up the waist, really energising your body. Really feel a lovely stretch in the ribs, opening up those little intercostal muscles for the lungs, the ribs. And then slowly bring yourself back to centre. So we're going to change the cross of our legs, because we do have a natural cross, so we're going to bring it into more of an unnatural cross. So if you just bring the other foot in front and just allow yourself a couple of moments to settle. Just notice how that feels in the hips and the knees. If it's uncomfortable, you can go back to that initial cross. So we're going to bring the hands behind our back. So we're going to interlock the hands. Just draw those fingertips down towards your bottom. So we're just trying to bring the shoulder blades together. Just trying to imagine you're holding an orange or a pencil between those shoulder blades. We're just trying to open up the chest. Especially if you've had a cold, it's quite nice, so you can feel a little bit tight in the chest. Maybe you can drop the shin towards your chest again, just to feel a lovely stretch in the upper back. If your shoulders do feel okay, maybe see if you can bring the palms together. It's just a slightly different movement. Just closes up the shoulders a little bit more. If it doesn't suit you, that's fine. Just have the palms facing up. And then slowly releasing those hands, we're going to bring the arms in front of us, just interlock the hands, push the palms away. Let's see if we can just pull the belly back towards your spine, drop the head down between your arms, get a really good stretch, really pull the belly back towards that spine. Okay, keep the breath really steady. Slowly we're going to straighten ourselves up. So maybe put a little bend in the elbows if your shoulders feel a little bit easier doing that. If you're finding with your shoulders, you can straighten the arms up properly. We're going to twist around to the right. So we're going to bring the left hand onto the right knee, bring the right hand behind as close to the bottom as you can, just so you can stay nice and tall. And just twist the chest around. Very slowly, very gently. See if you can ease that right shoulder blade back. Maybe looking over the right shoulder if you can, but you can keep the head in line with the spine if you need to. And gently back to centre. So we're going to interlock the hands a second side. So we normally have a natural interlock like we do with the legs. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the finger down one. So the little finger at the bottom will feel different. Takes a couple of moments to get used to. Push the palms away. And again, drop the head down towards the chest. Pull the belly back towards the spine. Feel that lovely stretch as you reach forward with those arms. And then slowly we're going to straighten up again. If you need to bend the elbows, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, just straightening those arms up towards the ceiling, twisting round to the left. So bring the right hand onto the left knee, the left hand just close to the bottom as you can, just easing that left shoulder blade back, nice and tall. So if you find your hand comes too far back, you'll slouch a little bit more, so the closest your hand comes towards your bottom, the better. Again, the head can look over that left shoulder, or you can keep it in line with your spine. And then gently releasing back to centre. So we're going to come onto all fours now. So if you have got a blanket and you have issues with your knees, it's good to use a blanket. If your knees are okay, that's absolutely fine. What you can also do is just fold up your yoga mat as well. So if you maybe fold it up in the middle if you have issues with your knees. So you've got 3 layers of mat there, which is quite nice. Make sure the feet are flat. Really spread those fingertips out so it takes the weight through the fingertips rather than through your wrists. If you can turn the elbow creases to face each other, so you're nice and straight, nice and neutral with that spine. We'll drop the belly down towards the floor, bring the head up. And we're going to arch away, so just drop the head down between your arms, just turn your gaze towards your navel, get a lovely stretch in those shoulders. And then dropping the belly down, maybe breathing in as that belly comes down. Breathing out as you arch away from the floor. Belly down, breathing in. Arching away, breathing out. Wonderful, coming into a nice neutral spine. So we're going to come into something called thread the needle now. So what this does, it just really stretches into the shoulders, it's really nice. Again, the knees can be parallel, sort of hip width, or you can bring them a little bit wider if you want to, if you do bring the toes together. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring your your left hand just underneath where your head is, and we're going to move it forward. It just gives a little space here to come underneath. We're going to rotate round to the right, so it's bring the right arm up towards the ceiling. If you've got issues with the shoulders, you can just bring your hand onto your hip just to ease that chest round. Palm facing forward if the arm is up. Really opening up behind you a little bit more if you can. Try to make sure your bottom is directly above your knees. And then we're going to bring that right arm underneath your body. Maybe put a little bend in your left elbow just so that you can bring the right ear down onto the floor. Now if you do have issues with your neck, again you can use your blanket just to rest your head on. So the idea is the weight isn't so much through the neck, it's actually supported by your shoulder. So if that feels a little bit easier, use something underneath your head. If you've got a brick, you can use a brick. So your bottom arm should have the palm facing upwards. Maybe you can walk that top arm, the left arm forward towards the short side of your mat, just to get a lovely stretch there. And use that breath. Maybe now explore if you want to, maybe bring the knees a little bit closer in, see how that feels. Bring the left arm a little bit closer in towards our head. Just going to rotate round, back to centre, bring both hands back down. Maybe bring the knees a little bit closer in. Just doing a couple of cat-cows just to ease any tension in that back, in the shoulder. Maybe just jiggle them a little bit. And then we're going to do the second side. So again, maybe try the knees parallel this time, or maybe bring the knees wide again. Right hand underneath where your head is, we're going to move it forward a little bit just to give us some space underneath. Rotate round to the left arm up towards the ceiling, or you can bring it onto your hip just to open up the chest. Palm facing outwards. And then we're going to just bring that left arm underneath, bending your right elbow again. Left arm, palm facing upwards. Just bring the weight into that left shoulder, or use something underneath your head. Maybe stretching the right arm forward. Just really enjoy that stretch in the side waist and the shoulders. Just check into the breath. Slowly bring the right hand back towards your head, just rotating back to centre. Bring the hands underneath your shoulders, bring the knees back underneath your hips. We're going to just curl the toes under. We're going to come into a downward dog. So maybe just move the arms a little bit further forward if you need to. If it's the first downward dog of your day and a little bit tight, curl the toes under. Let's bring the knees off the floor. Push the bottom up towards the ceiling. Don't worry too much if you find your heels are up towards the ceiling. It's not a problem. You can maybe pedal out the feet, so maybe lowering one heel down, then the other. Just really enjoy those stretches. Just explore how that feels in the back of your legs. And make sure that you're gripping in with those fingertips so your fingers aren't sliding. Maybe looking a little bit more towards your navel if that suits you, if that is in your practice. Maybe coming to a little bit of stillness. Maybe see if you can push those heels a little bit lower down. Use the breath.
Really feel that lovely stretch from the whole of your back. Just bring the feet a little bit wide, maybe as wide as your mat. Put a little bend in those knees, and we're going to walk the hands towards your feet, into a forward fold. So again, just make sure that you bend the knees enough so you can touch the floor, just let the head just hang. Maybe just nod your head a little bit, give it a little bit of a shake. Just notice any tension you're feeling in that leg. Maybe you can bend your elbows and just bring your thumbs into your elbow creases, just to allow yourself just to barely rock backwards and forwards. It's good for releasing any lower back pain. So again, if you do feel it's tight, just bend the knees a little bit more. Let's slowly bring those fingertips down, heel toe those feet together to about hip width. A little bend in those knees, bring the head up first. Slowly coming, just roll those shoulders around. Okay, so let's turn to face the long side of your mat. So we'll do a little bit of side bends here. So again, feet about hip width apart. Let's bring the arms up above your head. We're going to grab hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Let's see if we can just pull that left arm over to the right. It's a nice side bend. Back to centre. Let's do the same on the other side. Let's bring the arms down, roll those shoulders. And then just bring the arms back up, grab your hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Let's pull that right arm over to the left. Back to centre. Wonderful. Let's bring the arms back down by your side. Roll the shoulders. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to bring the feet into a wide position. So we're going to come into Warrior Two. So normally with Warrior Two, what we say is whatever your leg length is, that should be the distance apart your feet are. So as long as it's comfortable for your hips. So we're going to turn your left toes towards the short side of your mat. Just put a little kick out with that right heel, and then we're going to put a little bend into that left knee. So we're opening up the hips. So make sure that that knee is directly above your ankle. If you find it's easing forward over towards that foot a little bit more, you need to pull it back to protect that knee. Make sure you can see your big toes out the front of that knee is always a good rule of thumb for this one. So turn the chest towards the long side of your mat. Spin the arms nice and wide. Drop the shoulders down the back. Really ground down with those feet. So really feel those feet pushing against the floor. Fantastic. So we're going to come into an extended side angle. So we're going to bring your left forearm onto your left thigh. Let's bring that right arm behind your back just to keep the chest open. So again, you can stay in this position if you want to, or you can sweep that right arm overhead towards the corner of the room. Again, really feel that lovely stretch in your side. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring that top arm up towards the ceiling. I'm going to straighten that left leg, push the hips to the right, coming into triangle. Now the main thing is this chest needs to stay open, so if you find you're dropping the shoulder down, just bring your arm up the leg a little bit more. Seeing how that feels. The idea is the chest is open, so if you find that doing this, you need to come up a little bit more. Again, you can look up towards the ceiling if you want to, if your balance feels good. You can look down towards the floor, or you can just turn your head so it's nice and neutral. Wonderful. Let's put a little bend back into that left knee again, back into Warrior Two. Drop the shoulders down the back. Slowly straighten that leg. Going to turn the toes towards the long side of your mat. Maybe kick the heels out a little bit. Nice and long in the spine. We're going to come into a forward fold. So just notice whether the weight is equal between your toes and your heels. Maybe bring the fingertips down onto the floor. Really feel the length in the spine. Wonderful. Let's put a little bend in those knees. Slowly roll up to standing. And we'll do the second side. So So let's turn the right toes towards the short side of the mat. Just kick that left heel away a little bit more. A little bend into that right knee. So again, make sure you can see your big toe nice and open in the hips. Bring the arms nice and wide. Drop the shoulders down the back. So really feel those feet grounding down into the earth. Maybe looking along your arm into the middle finger, just into the distance. And we're going to bring your right forearm onto your right thigh. Again, bring the left arm behind your back just to keep that chest nice and open. And again, if you feel that chest is nice and open and you're not going to drop this left arm down, we can bring that left arm overhead. Really feel that stretch. Slowly bring that top arm up towards the ceiling. So try to keep the chest open. We're going to straighten that right leg, push the hips to the left, coming into that triangle. So again, if you need to come up a little bit more, that's fine. If you allow yourself to come down, that's fine, as long as the chest is nice and open. Just imagine you're sort of sandwiched between two panes of glass. Get down towards the floor, or up towards the ceiling, or nice and neutral. Little bend into that leg again, back into warrior two. And straighten the right leg, bring your arms down, turn the toes in. Again, so the just heels are out a little bit more than the toes. Forward fold, nice flat back. Again, equal weight between the toes and the heels. Fingertips down onto the floor. Let's bring that right arm just underneath where your head is. Rotate round to the left. Again, left arm can come off the hip or up towards the ceiling. Left arm down, let's swap sides. Bring the right arm up. And then back down towards the floor. See if we can walk the hands a little bit more between your legs. Let the head just drop down. Slowly come into a flat back. Bring the hands underneath your shoulders. Let's heel toe those feet together. Come into a forward fold. See if you can walk the feet or the hands towards your feet a little bit more. Maybe put a little bend in those knees. Allow the head to drop down towards those knees. Bring the hands away a little bit more underneath your shoulders. Let's come onto your toes. Let's see if we can drop down to a little bit of a toe squat. And then bring the hands behind you and just bring the bottoms down towards the floor. Let's stretch the legs out in front of us. Give those legs a bit of a waggle. Fantastic. So we're going to come back into a cross-legged position. Draw ourselves nice and tall. So again, if you need something underneath your bottom, just to bring the knees down, that's fine. Just take a couple of moments here. Resting the hands on your knees or into your lap, closing your eyes down. Just slowly allow your heart rate to settle. Allow your breath just to ease. So just feel free to stay here as long as you feel comfortable. Otherwise, just bring your fingertips down to the floor beside you. Take a nice deep breath in. Let's draw the arms above your head into prayer. Bring the hands down. Rest the thumbs on the breastbone. Bring the head down towards those fingertips. Gently flickering those eyes open and just offering ourselves some gratitude for just completing this practice and just for stretching our bodies out and for what they've achieved today. And thank you as always for joining me. Namaste. See you next time.